Are you new to Kamado cooking and not sure what to cook first? Don't worry, in this video, I'm gonna share with you my top 5 first cooks on a Kamado grill. Let's get into this. What's up, barbecue fans? Welcome back to the patio. My name's Jake. You're watching Run and Cook. Today on the channel, we're talking all about Kamado cooking. I've got out my Big Joe, and what we're talking about is what I would do as my first 5 cooks on a Kamado style cooker. Maybe you just got one. Maybe you've got one on order, or maybe you're doing a little bit of research and you're just like me, before you buy a new product, you want to learn as much as you can in advance of ordering it. Now, on that topic, do not be intimidated by one of these. I guarantee you, within about 10 cooks, you're gonna feel pretty comfortable on one. Now, you're probably not gonna be able to dial it in for a 12-hour brisket cook, but you'll be able to turn out some great food. These are super simple to operate. All we got air in, we got air out. Lots of air out. We trim this top vent down here and we control our airflow. The more air, the more heat, just like that. There's no other components to worry about. It's all about the airflow. So one of the reasons why people look at a Kamado style cooker over other barbecues and smokers is because of the versatility, right? We can go from 200 degrees all the way to 900 degrees. That means we can cold smoke, we can smoke, we can do a reverse sear and then a high temp sear. We can do traditional grilling, we can bake, right? You wanna make some bread, you wanna make some cookies, or we can do some high temp cooks, pizzas, whether it be a traditional 450, 500 degree pizza, or even a 900 degree pizza. So you've got a ton of versatility in one of these, and if there's one thing that I've made the most over the last 8 years, it's pizza. I've made traditional, Neapolitan style pizza, cast iron pizza, calzones, strombolis. I've made it all, and I've made a ton of it. And the reason for it is it's absolutely delicious. For years I had a running joke that says, I'm gonna make you a pizza that is so good it requires a fine glass of red wine, and it is never disappointed. The reason for that is because of how these work, right? These are very thick. What they do is they collect a lot of heat energy and they fire it down into your food, and you get 360 degree cooking. So in the case of a pizza, we don't have flames coming over top of it, but we do have a lot of heat being fired into it. So it turns out some amazing pizza. I would recommend that as one of your first cooks because it's gonna blow your mind. Couple quick tips on that note. Number one, don't buy grocery store dough. Try and make your own. And if you're not comfortable doing that, go to a pizza shop, not a chain, ask them to buy their dough. They'll probably sell it to you for $5 and come home and make some dough with that, or make a pizza with that dough. It'll be way better than you're buying at the pizza shop. You'll never buy it from the pizza shop again. You'll just bring it home and cook it yourself. Let me bring you in real quick and I'll give you an extra bonus tip here. If you look here, we've got our heat deflectors here, and then we've got a gap, right? I'm just sitting on 3 stones there. The reason for this is that all this heat's gonna come up underneath, and I don't wanna burn the bottom of my pizza. So you can buy the Kamado Joe pizza stone, get it separated, and that way you can still get really hot, but you won't burn the bottom of your pizza. If this gets overheated for whatever reason, take a cold rag and just wipe it down, or it'll drop the temperature like that, and you can put your pizza on. And the pizza that I would try first is just a traditional style pizza. And what you're gonna do is you're gonna get your dome to about 450, 500 tops, get that locked in, let your pizza stone get up to temperature for about 20 minutes or so. And then your pizza is gonna take roughly 8 minutes to cook, depending how thick you make it. And what I would do is maybe around 4 minutes in, I'd just give it a half flip. Sometimes you're gonna have one side is hotter than the other, and away you go. Super easy. I guarantee you, after that first cook, you'll be making a lot more pizza. So I know the reason why you bought one of these is because you wanna do some smoking. Don't worry, I got you covered. Number 2 is gonna be smoking a pork shoulder, pork butt, whatever you want to call it, depends where you buy it from. It's really the same thing. The one tip there is make sure it's a bone-in one. The only reason for that is that it's one big solid piece of meat. You don't have to truss it up or anything like that. You can just throw it on and hurry up and wait. It's going to take a little bit, right? Something like that's going to take somewhere between 7 and 9 hours, and maybe a little longer depending on how big it is. But the good thing is that you can play with your dials, you can have some variations. It's not going to hurt it. Right? Your goal is to run around 250. till it hits about 165, 170. Then wrap it in foil, keep it rolling at that temperature until it hits around 204. Use your thermometer, poke around, make sure you're good and tender, should feel like warm peanut butter. And once you hit that point, it may go up to 206, every piece of meat is different. Then you just take it and let it rest for an hour and pull out that bone, start shredding, and you've got some delicious pulled pork. It is one of the most forgiving cooks you can do in barbecue, and it makes a bunch of meat, so you can do it for a party and impress all your friends. Our third cook is one of my personal faves, and that's smoke burgers. Make yourself some big old burgers. I'm talking like half pound, third pound burgers. And what you do, make up your burger, you throw them on here and you smoke them. Get yourself some cherry wood. Cherry wood and beef is absolutely delicious, and it makes for a nice burger. What'll happen here is it'll turn it to a little bit of a red color, and you're gonna get some sweetness in there. Hint of smoke in the background, and they are super, super tasty. The reason why we're doing this one is because we get to practice a couple things and we don't have to ruin an expensive steak doing it. So all you're gonna do is you're gonna smoke them at 250 for probably about 45 minutes, and you cook them to temperature, right? So if you like pink in your burger, maybe that's 130, 135. If you don't like pink, maybe take it up to 155. But what you do is you cook them till they're done, and then you take them off. Then we open up our vents, we set ourselves up a grate that's directly over fire, and we sear our burgers a couple minutes aside just to get some char on them. You're just adding another layer of flavor on there, but they're already cooked. This is the exact same thing you would do with a steak, except for if you ever cook a burger, it's gonna be delicious still, and you won't be angry that you overcooked your steak. It's a great technique to practice, because once you get that dialed in and you learn how to dial in those vents, next time you can throw a big old steak on there and be confident you're gonna knock it out of the park. Our fourth cook, we're back to smoking. Doesn't matter if you like baby backs or St. Louis style spare ribs, whatever your favorite is, get yourself some ribs and let's fire them up. If you hear about the 3-2-1 method for ribs, do not do it. Those are not great ribs. That method has been around for a long time. I mean, I remember hearing about it 18 years ago or something like that. It's been around longer than that. It is not a good method to cook ribs. If I was gonna do my first set of ribs, I would keep it super simple. I would put them on here at 275, unwrapped for about 3 hours, 3.5 hours, put some sauce on them, and they're done. You can get some nice smoke flavor in there. And the way to test your ribs is pick up, by the center, just pick up some bones here, and if the ends still touch the grate, you can pick it up an inch, 2 inches there, they're done. Right? You're gonna have to play with that one and see what's best for you, but the end temperature is gonna be somewhere between 190 and 204. If you go beyond that, you're gonna get more of a mushy fall off the bone rib, which you really don't want. Once you start to eat ribs, you want like a clean bite. You can still pull all the meat off the bone, but it should be a clean bite. It should not be, the meat should not fall off the bone. Once you cook them that way a couple times, that will be your preferred method. I was on the other side many, many years ago and switched to that method, and it is a lot better, more of an enjoyable bite. But what you can do there is do a bunch of different ribs, right? Play with smoke. You've got hickory. You could use some apple. You could use some cherry. You could use some oak, some pecan. You've got 5 or 6 little cooks right there just trying different smoke profiles. While you're doing that, you can perfect how you do your ribs. And I'll tell you what, these ribs are gonna be delicious. They're gonna be nice and flavorful. Just remember, if you overcook them, you're gonna get a lot of the moisture out there. So remember the test about lifting up the middle of the bones and keeping the end of a rack on the grates. For our fifth cook, we're gonna go back to grilling and we're gonna do some chicken. Chicken on a Kamado is amazing, right? Again, we're talking about that 360-degree cooking. It doesn't matter if you take a bone-in, skin-on breast, you do a whole chicken, or you spatchcock it. Chicken loves to be cooked hot. I have done tons of videos, especially on my Yoder, where I'm cooking chicken hot, and think about fried chicken. It's cooked hot. It loves to be cooked hot and fast. And the great thing about here is that you can use your deflector shields and you can get it super hot, 450, 500, and cook that chicken nice and fast, but not have that heat pounding it from the bottom. Or if you do some spatchcock, obviously it's gonna hit the bones there, but when you do chicken right on this thing, it is untouchable. It is gonna be juicy, it's gonna be smoky, you're gonna get that charcoal flavor, and it is delicious. Then, once you got that figured out, you could maybe buy the rotisserie, and you could get into some rotisserie chicken, because rotisserie chicken over top of lump, all that fat dripping on top of the lump, adds another flavor element, and it is delicious. You can make a whole bunch of it too. Then you can use it for salads, tacos, whatever you want. But I guarantee you, start cooking some chicken on here and you're gonna love it. It is a delicious cook. So I promised you 5 things. The wheels are turning. I'm gonna give you a 6th bonus one. But before we do that, I gotta talk about the contest. So on my channel, I do videos Tuesdays and Thursdays. Thursday videos are all grouped together, Tuesday videos are all grouped together. What you do, you just have to be subscribed to the channel, you gotta like the video, and you have to comment down below using hashtags for that specific video. So for this video, we'll use hashtag Kamado Joe, hashtag Kamado Cooking, and at the end of the month, I will draw 4 random comments and I'll give away 4 $25 gift cards to appybq.com. Now, if you happen to be a Patreon member, it starts at $5, help support the channel, I'll double it and I'll make it $50. We've had a ton of Patreon members win $50 instead of 25. It's more than paid for their $5 a month or whatever level they're at. So consider supporting the Patreon channel. But once a month, I will draw 4 of them. Now, I promised you a 6th bonus one. For that, lots of people want to go right to brisket. Brisket is a challenging cook, even for the experienced person, and it takes a long time. So I don't want to encourage you to go and try and do a 10 or 12 hour cook and be disappointed with it. So what I would recommend is get yourself some dino short ribs. Or I'm talking the 3-bone ones. The 4-bone ones are okay, but the 3-bone ones are long, and when that meat swells up, it's super thick. Commonly referred to as brisket on a stick. But the good thing about that cook is it's only going to be 6 or 7 hours, and it is forgiving still. Now, not as forgiving as pulled pork, right? If you get your temperature too low, you forget about it, you're not paying attention, your fat won't render out properly, and you'll have some white fat in there. You don't want that. Now, it'll still be really good, you just won't eat the fat. Ideally, what you want to do is you want to keep your temperature up closer to 275 and render out that fat properly. When they're done, wrap them maybe in some butcher paper and let them sit for an hour, and then tear into them. They'll feed a bunch of people. One person is not eating a whole one of those ribs, I'll tell you that. But what you want to do is cook them at about 204, 205. Use your temperature probe, and it should feel like warm peanut butter again. Let them rest for a good hour, and they'll be delicious. They are relatively easy to cook, and I'll tell you what, you'll make them again. That's all I've got for you today. I appreciate you watching. If you like what you saw today, don't forget to subscribe to the channel. I'll see you soon.